Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 9 of my object-oriented design tutorial. Today I'm going to finish converting our sequence and class diagrams into working code. Now understand, I'm really speeding through this. In essence, in a little over 3 hours, I created a use case, a domain model, 2 in essence sequence diagrams, a class diagram, and now working code. And the goal here is to get working code, not perfect code, working code under optimum situations. I'm going to wait until the next iteration or during the testing phase to handle all the errors. But since we're using the unified process, our goal is to work through and get our code working and then worry about optimizing it afterwards. So there's a ton of things I got to do, so let's get into it. Okay, so this is where we left you off with the sequence diagram, and in this part of the tutorial I am going to create ATM.java, banknetwork.java, and bankcomputer.java. And just like previous, I am using these class diagrams I created, and I went in there and I transferred all of this information over here into basic, really easy to understand code. There's no point in me typing all that out in front of you because I'm sure you understand it. I basically just have to go in here and fill in the blanks and do a lot of logic. So one thing here is user input scanner. Well, I know if I see that, and I'm in ATM.java, and I'm going to be handling a lot of user input, that means I need the scanner library. So there that is, got that handled. And then if I did that, well, I need to create a scanner object. And I'm going to set this as static. User input is equal to new scanner, and this is going to be system in because I want information from my keyboard. And I'm simulating everything out here exactly like it would be a real world object because that is our goal. Alright, so let's get rid of this. We know what all of our methods are that we should have, and we know very early on that we are going to create a transaction for ATM because it's right there. And we also know that a method that we are going to create very early on is ATM cards bank in network. And let's look at some other things here. If that verifies, we want to call the following for transaction: set strip number and set did the card verify. Alright, so we know all that, and also if we come down here, everything continues as designed in the first design that we made. So that means we're going to scroll down here and look for ATM, and there is ATM. So we're in essence going to just come in here and copy what's on the left side of the screen over to the right hand side of the screen, except we're going to throw in some logic. So the first thing I need to do is go, is strip readable? Now this is kind of going to be a security feature, and what I decided in previous parts of the tutorial is to pass this. The strip number off the card that is entered just needs to be the proper number of digits long. I know that's not good security, but it is what I'm throwing in here for now because my goal is to get working code and then optimize it later. Okay, so how can I figure out how many digits are in the strip that is passed over inside of the card? Well, I'm going to convert this into an int because I'm going to do some math here. And one way to find out how many digits you have in a number is just go log 10 and then go the card and then dot. And if I do that, what's going to pop up inside of here is get strip number. So I'm going to double click on that so I don't have to memorize all these things. There's no point in memorizing, you don't have to. And then put in a semicolon. And that is going to give me the number of digits that is inside of strip number. That's a little math thing. Okay, then what I need to do is create transaction. Why? Because that is what I was told on my sequence diagram when we looked at it up above. And I'm just going to go new transaction and then go the card, and then I know this is get strip number, so I'm going to click on it, and this is in 1080p, so if you want to view it full screen, do so. And that is going to create me a transaction that I'm going to be using a lot here to output information, check things, and so forth. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to go if number of digits in strip, this guy right here, throw that inside of there, is equal to, and if I forget exactly what it is, let's come over here, strip number is 8 digits, so that's what we're verifying. So I'm just going to do that and get this back on the screen so I can follow it. So I'm going to say if the strip number is 8 digits, well, what am I going to do here? Well, I'm going to say that it is a valid strip number, whether it is or it isn't. Like I said, I want to get working code out here as quickly as humanly possible. And if it's 8 digits long, I want to return true. Yes, we think this is a valid strip number. Else, I want to return false. Definitely isn't a valid strip number, that's for certain. So that's all we got to do there. Now what are we going to work on? Is ATM ATM cards bank in network. Well, I know I'm going to be getting my card passed over to me, and it's going to have a strip number on it, and it's going to have a PIN. And just like the real world, I'm going to use the bank network and bank computer files that I'm going to be creating, and I'm going to create all these right in a row, just so everything makes sense to me. So one of the things I'm going to do is go if, well, I know that I have the network of banks inside of this because that's what this is right here. And whenever I created ATM, the network of banks that hold the bank computers is also going to be in there. And then all the accounts, of course. So I'm going to go network of banks on ATM, and I'm going to say, well, what do I want to know? Is ATM's card inside of the network? Well, that's right here. So I just double click on it, and there it is. And it automatically has card inside of there because I used some good names whenever I was creating this thing. If it is, then I'm going to go the transaction, just following what's going on here. See, find bank associated with the card, and I'm going to check if the ATM's card is inside of my network. So the transaction, and I have to set the transaction. I have to give it the strip number. So set, and there is strip number down here. So let's just double click on that. And then it's going to pop up strip number inside of there. But what I want to do is go the card, paste that down inside of there, dot, and then get strip number, because that's the method that I want to call that's going to get me access to that with the information that I have. And then there we are. Then what I need to do is set the transaction so that it knows that my card is verified. So how did I do that? Well, just come down here and look for it. Did the card verify? Yes. So there we are, got that inside of there. And I'm going to change this to true. And this is going to store in a place that I'm going to be able to look later to verify that yes, this card has been verified. And then after this, let's just go return true. So we got that inside of there. Else, if it didn't verify, we're going to return false, of course. And then we'll worry about exactly how we're going to handle that at a later time. So now that we have that all set up, what I need to do is, because I called the network of banks and called is ATM cards bank in network and passed it to card, I need to go inside of banknetwork.java and set everything up inside of there. So what other things am I going to need here? Well, I can see right here that I got an error that I'm using an array list and I don't have that library, so let's fix that problem right now. Okay, so that's gone. Then we come down here, add bank to network. Well, that means I'm going to need to add that to this array list, which is right here, which is banks in database. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to just throw in this right here to make sure that that gets called properly. And I'm going to go add and new bank. So this is a way that I'm going to be able to add the new banks to the bank networks. And then the bank networks hold all the accounts. Just want to make sure you get what's going on. And then I need to go into is ATM's card in network, and it gets passed a card, and I'm inside of banknetwork.java. So I just got to do a little bit of searching to see if that's true. And I'm going to go boolean card verification, set this to false whenever it first starts off before I do all my tests. And then I'm going to go int, I'm going to go card bank ID, and I want to get the first 2 digits to verify that I have the right bank ID, and that's what I have here in the sequence diagram. So how am I going to do that? Well, previously inside of the sequence diagram, I had a method defined that was get first 2 digits, and you can actually see that here, and it's actually in the class diagram as well. So I know I'm going to get the first 2 digits by passing it a strip number. Well, where do I get the strip number? Well, I can get the strip number from the card, so that's great. So I'm going to go and call this method right here, and I can define the logic of what that's going to do here in a second. I'm going to go the card, and I need to pass it the strip number. So I'm going to go get strip number. There we are. Got it. And that is going to call that method underneath there. Then what I need to do is cycle through all of the different banks to see if we have a match. So I'm going to go bank computer and just call it bank, and then go banks in database, which is this guy right here, banks in database. And I'm going to cycle through all of them and see if we have a match for bank IDs, so that I match my bank IDs to the other banks that have the same ID. And then later on, I'm going to check to see if the account exists. And just go get bank ID is equal to, I'm going to go card bank ID, which is what I just searched for. And if that comes back positive, I can go card verification and set it to true instead of false, which is what I set it above. Card verification, and I want to have that be uppercase V. All right, so that's all working good. And then it's going to go through that. Otherwise, card verification is going to be false. And then I'm going to go return card verification. So that is going to check if my ATM card is actually inside of the network. Well, then I have to get first 2 digits, and it's going to get past a strip number. So I'm going to go through the logic of exactly how that's going to be created. And like I said, the strip number is the first 2 digits of it is going to be the bank ID. So that is how I'm going to find that out. So I'm going to go string of strip number, give it a name, and then I'm going to go integer to string and pass it over the strip number so that I can do some pretty easy checks here. And this is just what's coming to my head right now, how to do this. Then I want to get the first 2 numbers from the strip number and save them as an int. So int, and I'm going to call this bank ID from, and of course I should have comments on everything here, but I'm just working quick. You can get all this code underneath the video if you want to look at it to help you learn all this stuff. And then I'm going to pass a string of strip number to this guy, right like that. And then I want to get a substring of it, substring, and I want to go from 0 to 2. And I put a semicolon on there, and that is going to give me the first 2 digits of that string for that strip number, and I'll have my bank ID. And then I'm going to go return bank ID from strip, and that's how we're going to get our bank IDs. So that's cool. And then I want to jump into bankcomputer.java, see what we need to do here. Well, I see again that array list is underlined, so I want to bring in that library. There it is. Now we got that. Everything else is set up exactly the way that we set it off previously. And I have bank ID set as 9 because I want it to be 10, so I know that I want to increment that guy the first time through, so that's why it's 9 instead of 10. And then down inside of bank computer, how is this going to be initialized? Well, it's going to get the bank name passed to it, so I want to go bank name is equal to new bank name. So now we have our bank with a bank name whenever we created it. And then we want to increment our number of banks. So just increment it like that. And then what else do we want to do? Well, we want to go bank ID, which is this guy right here. And we just want to set it to 10 for the first one. So I'm going to go this bank ID and plus is equal to number of banks. So just working real quick here. And let's go down, add account to bank. Well, I know I'm going to know how to do that as well. That's going to be this array. So I'm going to go and grab accounts. And this is like initialization stuff, so that's why I'm doing it ahead of time. And I'm going to just get this, accounts, add, and add the new account that is being passed over. So that's going to throw that in the array list for that. And let's go through here, get bank ID, that's good. Verify strip number. Well, might as well get that out of the way as well. That's going to be Boolean for verification. Remember, we did this previously, so in essence, we're just going to be copying that code. And here I'm going to cycle through all of the accounts, accounts, and look for a strip number that matches based off of one that's already stored in the accounts array list. And that's pretty simple to do as well. We're just going to go if account dot, and we want to get the strip number. Where is strip number? Get strip number. There it is. And we want to check if the strip number is equal to the card strip number, and it's going to be get strip number as well. I'm not going to zoom in that time. And if it does match, which means there is an account with the same strip number as the card that was passed over right here, well then we're going to set card verification to equal to true. So throw that in there and set this to true. And we don't need to do an else in that situation. And then down here, we're just going to go return card verification after that is all set up. All right, so now let's bounce over into ATM and see exactly what we got going on here. So we are checking to see if the card is in the network. We did that in all 3 of these guys. And the next thing we want to do is check to see if the PIN number is going to be right. So we got insert PIN inside of this, and we want to find the number of digits that are inside of the PIN. Well, how did we do that before? We wanted to make sure that's 4. Where did we do it? We might as well just copy that, right? That was a log function that I used, and here it is right here. So let's just copy that so we don't have to worry about it. And we're just checking to see if the PIN is 4 digits in length. And I'm going to go int number of digits in PIN is going to be the name of that. And let's just throw that there, and we'll go equals. And then in this situation, we need to get the PIN that's passed, not get strip number. So we're just going to change that to PIN. And there we are. Now we know how many digits there are in the PIN. And then we're going to say if number of digits in the PIN, so let's just copy that, paste that inside of there, is not equal to 4, because our PIN number needs to be 4 digits in length. Maybe we're going to throw in something here. Like I said, I'm worried about getting this to work. I'm not worried about it working perfectly or having it optimized. So sometimes I'll throw in a little error message, sometimes I won't, but main goal, have to get it to work. And then I'm going to go return false. Else, if they did enter 4 digits, well, we're going to have to verify if those 4 digits are correct. So we're going to go the transaction, and we want to set the PIN for the transaction, because remember, we're passing transactions back. Set PIN, right like that. And then this is going to be set to the PIN that they sent to us. And we're going to have to verify that guy later on. Then we want to decide to pass the transaction instead of the card, like I did in my sequence diagram. So I'm going to go network of banks on ATM, which is the array list that's inside of this guy. And I want to verify to see if this PIN is right. So let's just go in here and go verify PIN. Pretty easy. And in this situation, I'm going to put the transaction is what's going to be passed over to that guy. And because I have all the same names, it makes it a lot easier. And then after that, we're going to return false. So network of banks on ATM, verify the PIN. What does that mean? That means I need to go into the network or bank network.java and create that guy to verify that PIN number. So let's go in here, scroll down, we know we're going to get, and there is verify PIN. So how are we going to verify the PIN? Just like before, Boolean card verification is what I'm going to name it, is equal to false. Whenever I start doing something, I have a tendency to keep doing it the same way. Then I'm going to say if the transaction, and I want to check to see if my card has been verified or not. Get did verify, nah, that's not it. Boom. Get did card verify. There we are. I didn't think that sounded right, but I forgot what it was called. Curly brace. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to cycle through my bank computer, call this bank, banks in database, and I'm going to check each of those individually to verify my PIN. Let's say I want to do another check here. I go bank and get my bank ID. Since I know that's a check that's already there, and I just want to throw in another error check or security feature or whatever. And I'm going to go get bank ID. Again, that might be thrown out here later on, but for now, I like it in there because I'm re-verifying some things. Bank verify the PIN and then pass it the transaction that stores the PIN inside of it. So I know a bank ID is equal to the transaction, so I'm going to verify the PIN there. And in that situation, I know that card verification is going to be equal to true. So there that is. Else, and let's just say for the heck of it, because I'm here, I want to print out like an error message. I'm going to go out, print line, and then come in here and go the card bank ID doesn't match, whatever. And then we would throw them out and ask them to give a new card or do a whole bunch of other different things. And for now, I'm pretty satisfied based off of what I got here on my sequence diagram and everything else. Everything looks like it's working out pretty good. Now I need to go into Bank Computer and verify that PIN again. So let's go into here and verify my PIN. And as you can see, I'm pretty much doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm going to go Boolean card verification is equal to false. I'm just doing it in a different way. And then I'm going to go if the transaction, and I want to check that did the card verify, and there that is. So if the card verified, see I have everything stored inside a transaction, so it's useful. I'm going to cycle through all my accounts then and look for a match for my PIN number, see? And then I can do something like, let's go account, and let's say I want to get my PIN, there's the PIN, and see if it is equal to the transaction. And again, this is going to be get PIN, and then I can do and, let's say account, and get my strip number, get strip number, there it is, and see if it is equal to the transaction strip number. So I'm verifying the PIN and the strip number and everything all at one time here. Now if those two things are true, well, I know I have a match. So I'm going to go card verification and set that to true, right like that. And what else should I do? Well, I think at this point in time we could trust that we could save inside of transaction the customer's name, because they've been checked a bunch of different times. So where are we going to get the customer's name? Well, I know it's stored in account, so let's get the customer's name. And how do we get it? Get customer name. There it is. So now we have that stored inside of transaction as well. We know a whole bunch of things are verifying here, so that's good. And then at the very end of it, we want to send back card verification, whether it is either true or false. So return card verification, and there it is. Now we're going to bounce back over into ATM and see what is the next thing we got to do. Pick account to access. Oh, let's just say we're going to, in essence, just do a whole bunch of print line and say something like, what account do you want to withdraw from? And then let's get whatever that account is from them. Like we could do something like we said we wanted them to enter 1 or 0 or whatever. So let's just go 1 dash for savings and 2 dash for checking. So there's something we could do. Put a space inside of there. And then we got to get the user input. So we're going to go if user input has next int. And this is something I know we're going to have to correct later, and I would put a comment in there for the situation where they would enter a string or whatever. Now I'm just going to go number entered is equal to user input next int and store that inside of there. Then I'm going to go the transaction, and I want to set the account to withdraw from. So I'm just come through here. There it is. And that's going to be the number entered, which is this guy, and that's going to tell me whether to withdraw from checking or savings, and paste that in there, and there that is. And then after this, let's just throw an else inside of there, and let's throw a system out error sort of message just for now as a placeholder, and we'll just go you entered an invalid option or whatever we want to do. Okay, so there we go. We got that all in there. And then we come to amount to withdraw. I want to make sure that bank network doesn't need anything more done to it. There's request withdrawal amount. So this right here is just saying pick account to access. It's not saying pick the amount to withdraw. So let's go through here and finish amount to withdraw on the ATM.java. And here I'm just going to do 2 system outs again, pretty much, just as placeholders to test my system. And let's just say with this one, how much do you want to, well, I already have withdraw there, not worrying about that. And then maybe we put a message down here that goes increments of $10 or whatever, because we can't do change, of course. And then we're in essence going to do the same thing. If user input has next int, we're going to use this guy again, and we're going to use this one again, like that. Paste that in there. Leave this as number entered. It doesn't matter. Close that off. And then I'm going to go the transaction, and I want to set my withdrawal amount, which is right there. Set withdrawal amount, and that's going to be number entered. So I'll pass that over to transaction so that that's stored inside of transaction, so I can pass that along. And then I need to make a reference to the network of banks on ATM, and I need to request a withdrawal amount. So there that is. And number entered is not going to be it. Transaction, the transaction, I'm going to pass everything, the whole transaction over to it so that it can access everything all at once. And then else, if there's some sort of error with them not giving me the right withdrawal amount, again, I'm just going to, you entered an invalid option. I'm just going to throw that in there just so that I have something in there. So there that is. So now because we went and reference bank network, see, network of banks and ATM, which is part of that array list, which is right here. That means I need to go over there and handle a new method. There we are, request withdrawal amount. And here I forgot to throw in card verification right there. So I'm going to go return card verification. Just caught that. That makes that error message go away. And then here is request withdrawal amount. And everything else here, I don't really need a sequence diagram anymore because everything else is pretty much common sense. And this guy, I'm going to go if the transaction is what was passed over to me. I want to check if my card verified. So I'm going to go get card verified. Don't know why I keep forgetting what that one is. Get did card verify. There that is. And then I'm going to cycle through all of my bank computers. Banks in database. Cycle through that. And I want to check if my bank ID, and that is right there, get bank ID, is equal to the transactions bank ID. So get bank ID. So there we know that the bank IDs are the same, which is all we're checking here. This is the bank network, remember? And if it did, we're going to go bank, request, withdraw, amount, and pass it over the transaction. The bank network can't handle anything in regards to transactions, so, that's not going to work. And if we have a situation where my card didn't verify or the bank ID didn't verify, we're going to need an else statement in there. And let's just jump over here and grab this one. You entered an invalid option, just to throw something in there again. So there that is. So now that I called bank computer, that means I'm going to have to go into bank computer and handle request withdrawal amount inside of it. So what are we going to do? We're going to cycle through all our accounts, accounts, and we're going to check if the withdrawal amount that they're trying to pull out there is going to be valid or not, and that's accounts. So I'm going to go if account, and then I want to check my account number and make sure that it matches the transaction account number that's used. So get account number, there that is. And I want to make sure that it's equal to the transaction. So I'm paying attention to this. That's what's being passed over, because that's all I have to work from. And then inside of this, I should have account number used, and yes it is, there it is. So if the account number is equal to the transaction account number, then I know I got a match. Then I'm going to go if account, and I want to get the balance, get account balance, there that is. And I want to say if it's greater than or equal to the transaction, the requested amount, which is get withdrawal amount, I believe, yes, get withdrawal amount. So they just asked for an amount that is actually in the bank. So we're going to let them get some money. So we're going to go double, new account balance, and get the new account balance by taking account dot get account balance, which is that guy right there, and subtracting from it the transactions amount requested. And that's going to be get withdrawal amount, which is right here. So I'm saying, okay, well, I want to subtract that from the amount there, and now I have that all stored inside of there. Well, now that I got that set, I need to set the new balance for the account. So set account balance, and I'm going to just send it, new account balance, rather than type all that out. Copy, paste that inside of there, and there we are. So now the account is up to date with the change that was made, and now all I need to do is set transaction to the new account balance, and there that is, and there's new account balance, and that's perfect. Well, actually, it's this guy right here. Almost perfect. Now I'm going to go else in the situation in which those things didn't verify, or I did not have enough funds. Well, I need to send out a message to tell them, hey, you asked for too much money or something else went wrong. So just to have something here, I'm just going to say you can't have that much money. So I don't want to think out all the perfect things to say. And that's that. So there's bank computer, that's done. Bank network, we know that's done. And that leaves ATM, get transaction info. And then that's the last method, so I know we're done with that. So what can we do here? Well, this is going to be a system out, and we're just going to print out a simple message to the user, and we're going to say something like thank you, and then we have transaction, we have access to transaction. That's what we've been passing around here. So if I want to get the customer's name, just come in here and go customer's name. There we are. So I can address the customer directly, and I could say something like for using XYZ Bank. Maybe I want to throw a new line in there. There we go. And I'm going to have a whole bunch of these system outs. Remember, I wanted to put the date / time of transaction, and I'll put that there on the screen. Well, again, I know I have access to transaction, and if I want to get my current date and time, there it is. See, that's what's so great about paying attention to your naming and all that. It just makes it so easy, just clicking around. I mean, it's so simple, it's great. And then say we wanted to put some information out in regards to the transaction itself. Maybe we want to throw a new line and type in some transaction in uppercase letters. I know this is going to change later. System out, and then print out some more information like removed, how much money did they take out? I don't know. Let's find out. The transaction, and I want to get my withdrawal amount. Get withdrawal amount, that's how much money they took out of the account. And then I'll say from your, well, what account did they take that money out of? And then we could check to see here whether they took it out of savings or they took it out of checking or where that money came from. So we'll just go if the transaction and get account to withdraw from. Get account to withdraw from, there's that. And then see if the number stored inside of there is equal to 1, because I remember I had that. And And then 1 is savings. So we'll just go savings account. And then let's say we wanted to do something like type out the current balance. And then I'm going to go the transaction because I know I have my current balance stored inside of there. Get account balance. See how easy this is? I'm just clicking on stuff. It's just working. It's awesome. Now, if they took it out of their checking account, guess what? It's pretty much going to use exactly the same sort of thing. I just got to throw an else statement inside of there, throw system out, and then just change this to checking. And everything else stays the same. See? Get account balance. As far as I know, everything should work. So let's run it and let's see what happens. Okay, after executing everything, the only change I needed to make was I already had a class called account, so I had to change this to account 1, and then I had to change everything else to account 1 throughout the program. Other than that, which shouldn't even affect you, everything else seems to work, so let's execute it. And you can see what account do you wish to withdraw from, and let's say we just type in checking, because that's what we have. And how much do you want to withdraw? Let's say we type in $40. Thank you, da-da-da-da-da. And there is the date, and there is information on the very specific transaction. So I know that pretty much everything works the way that I want it to, and now it's basically my job just to go in and handle all the error checking, which I leave to you for homework because it is quite simple and doesn't really have anything to do with object-oriented design. Leave any questions or comments below. Otherwise, till next time.